Jenny gripped the steering wheel, her knuckles turning white. The HOA president's voice crackled through the speaker, demanding she move her car. But this was her road, the one she'd fought hard to keep. As the confrontation escalated, a flash of headlights illuminated the darkness. Time was running out. She had to make a choice that would change everything. Jenny pulled into her driveway, exhaling deeply. It had been another long day at the office, and all she wanted was to relax at home. But as she stepped out of her car, she noticed the flashing lights of the HOA president's SUV blocking the road. Mrs. Lawson. The booming voice of Martha Gillespie, the self-appointed neighborhood tyrant, pierced the evening air. "You're blocking the road again. Move your car immediately." Jenny clenched her jaw, trying to keep her composure. "This is my road, Martha. I've told you 100 times. I own the easement, and I have a right to park here." Martha's eyes narrowed. "That's what you claim, but the HOA says otherwise. You're disrupting traffic and making life difficult for everyone. Now move your car before I call the police." Jenny felt her blood pressure rising. "The police won't do anything. I've checked the deeds, and this road belongs to me. You and the HOA have no authority here." "We'll see about that." Martha turned, stopping back to her SUV. "You have until tomorrow morning to move your car, or we'll have it towed. And don't think we're done with this, Lawson. The HOA will make sure you regret defying us." As Martha's vehicle peeled out, Jenny's mind raced. She knew the HOA had been trying to take over the private road for years, but she'd fought them at every turn. This was her land, her home, and she wasn't about to back down without a fight. Jenny hurried inside, her fingers trembling as she pulled up the deed on her laptop. Sure enough, the easement was clearly hers, granted decades ago when the neighborhood was first developed. She'd have to dig deeper, but she was confident the law was on her side. A knock on the door startled her. Peering through the peephole, she saw her neighbor, David, standing on her porch. She opened the door, bracing herself for another confrontation. "Hey, Jenny. I just wanted to let you know I'm on your side with this whole road thing." David's expression was sincere. "The HOA has been overstepping their bounds for years, and I think it's time someone stood up to them." Jenny felt a wave of relief. "Thank you, David. I'm glad to know I have at least one ally in this mess." "Of course." David nodded. "If there's anything I can do to help, just let me know. I'll be keeping an eye on things, and if the HOA tries anything, I'll be here to back you up." "I appreciate that," Jenny said, feeling a glimmer of hope. "I'm not going to let them bully me off my own property. This is my road, and I'm going to fight for it." As David left, Jenny closed the door, her determination solidifying. She had to be prepared for whatever the HOA had planned. Tomorrow, the battle would begin. Jenny woke up before dawn, her eyes already fixed on the road outside her home. As the first hint of sunlight peeked over the horizon, she saw Martha's SUV pull up, followed by a large tow truck. "This is it," Jenny muttered, her heart pounding. She quickly threw on some clothes and hurried outside, determined to confront the HOA head-on. "What do you think you're doing?" she yelled, striding toward the tow truck driver. Martha stepped forward, a smug expression on her face. "Good morning, Mrs. Lawson. As I told you yesterday, your car is blocking the road. We're here to have it removed." "This is my road, Martha," Jenny said, her voice trembling with anger. "You have no right to tow my car." "Oh, but we do." Martha produced a stack of papers. "The HOA has voted to take over this easement. We're the rightful owners now, and we're perfectly within our rights to clear the road." Jenny snatched the papers from Martha's hands, scanning them quickly. Her stomach twisted as she realized the HOA had indeed managed to push through a legal claim on the property. "This can't be right," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I've owned this land for years. You can't just take it from me." "Well, we just did." Martha's smile widened. Now, if you don't move your car, we'll have it towed. And next time, we might not be so lenient. Jenny's mind raced, desperately searching for a way to fight back. But as the tow truck driver hooked up her car, she knew she was running out of options. "This isn't over, Martha," she said, her voice laced with determination. "I'm going to find a way to get my road back, even if it means taking this all the way to court." "Good luck with that," Martha chuckled. "In the meantime, I'd suggest you find another place to park, because from now on, this road belongs to the HOA." As the tow truck rumbled away with Jenny's car, she felt a sense of helplessness wash over her. But deep down, she knew she couldn't give up. This was her home, her land, and she wasn't about to let the HOA take it without a fight. Turning back toward the house, Jenny's eyes fell on David, who had been watching the entire confrontation from his porch. Their gazes met, and Jenny saw a flicker of understanding in his eyes. "I'm not done yet," she said, more to herself than to him. "This isn't over. Not by a long shot." Jenny paced back and forth in her living room, her mind racing. The HOA had managed to seize control of her road, and now her car was towed, leaving her stranded in her own neighborhood. A knock on the door interrupted her thoughts. Peering through the peephole, she saw David standing on her porch, holding a manila envelope. "Jenny, can I come in?" he asked, his expression concerned. She opened the door, ushering him inside. "Did you see what happened this morning?" David nodded solemnly. "I was watching from my porch. I can't believe the HOA pulled this off." "Neither can I," Jenny said, running a hand through her hair. "They've been after this road for years, but I never thought they'd actually be able to take it from me." David handed her the envelope. "I did some digging and found these documents. I think they might help you fight back." Jenny opened the envelope, her eyes widening as she scanned the contents. "These are the original deeds and property records. They clearly show that I own the easement." "Exactly," David said. "The HOA's claim is bogus. They must have forged or manipulated these records somehow." Jenny felt a glimmer of hope. "Then that means I can challenge their takeover in court. I have to find a way to get my car back and reclaim my road." "I'll help you however I can," David said, his voice resolute. "This isn't just about your property. It's about standing up to the HOA's bullying tactics. I'm in this fight with you." Jenny felt a surge of gratitude. "Thank you, David. I can't do this alone, and it means a lot to know I have your support." "Of course." David placed a hand on her shoulder. "We'll figure this out, Jenny. I promise." As David left, Jenny began poring over the documents, her mind whirring with a plan of action. She had to move quickly before the HOA could solidify their control over the road. Reaching for her phone, she dialed her lawyer's number. "Hello, Mr. Samuels. This is Jenny Lawson. I need your help. The HOA has just taken over my road, and I need to file an immediate challenge." The next few days were a whirlwind of legal maneuvers and high-stakes negotiations. Jenny's lawyer, Mr. Samuels, had wasted no time in filing an injunction to halt the HOA's takeover of the road. "The deeds clearly show that the easement belongs to you, Jenny," Mr. Samuels explained during a tense meeting. "But the HOA has been clever, manipulating the system to make it appear as if they had a legitimate claim." Jenny's brow furrowed in frustration. "So how do we fight this? I can't just let them take my property." "We need to act quickly and decisively," Mr. Samuel said. "The court has scheduled a preliminary hearing in a week's time. If we can present a strong enough case, we may be able to get a temporary restraining order to prevent the HOA from making any further moves." "And what about my car?" Jenny asked. "They towed it, and I need to get it back." "I've already filed the necessary paperwork to have your car released," Mr. Samuels assured her. "Once the court issues the restraining order, the HOA will have to return your vehicle and cease any further actions regarding the road." Jenny nodded, her mind racing with the implications. Okay, so what do I need to do to prepare for the hearing? First and foremost, we need to gather as much documentation as possible, Mr. Samuels said. Dig up every record, deed, and legal document that proves your ownership of the easement. The more evidence we can present, the stronger our case will be. I've already got the original deeds that David found, Jenny said. What else should I be looking for? Any correspondence with the HOA, minutes from their meetings, or records of their attempts to take over the road, Mr. Samuels replied. Anything that shows their actions have been underhanded or illegal. Jenny felt a surge of determination. I'll get started on that right away. I'm not going to let them win this without a fight. As she left the lawyer's office, Jenny spotted Martha's SUV parked outside the HOA clubhouse. A flash of anger ignited within her, fueling her resolve. She wasn't going to back down, no matter what the HOA tried to do. Hurrying home, Jenny began scouring her records, her fingers flying across the keyboard as she compiled the necessary documents. She had 1 week to build the strongest case possible, and she wasn't about to let the HOA's bullying tactics prevail. The day of the court hearing arrived, and Jenny could feel the tension in the air as she stepped into the courtroom. Clutching her files tightly, she scanned the room, spotting Martha and the rest of the HOA board seated on the opposite side. As the judge entered and called the case, Jenny's heart pounded. Mr. Samuels rose to present their case, his voice firm and confident. Your Honor, we are here today to challenge the HOA's unlawful takeover of a private road that has been under the ownership of my client, Mrs. Jenny Lawson, for over 2 decades. Martha's lawyer, a sharp-dressed man with a smug expression, stood to counter the argument. The HOA has followed all the proper legal channels to acquire the rights to this easement, he claimed. The documents we have submitted clearly show that the association now holds the rightful claim to the road. Mr. Samuels shook his head. That is simply not true, Your Honor. We have the original deeds, signed and filed decades ago, which unequivocally prove that Mrs. Lawson owns this property. He proceeded to present the evidence, meticulously laying out the timeline and the HOA's questionable actions. Jenny watched, her stomach in knots, as the judge listened intently. When it was the HOA's turn to respond, Martha's lawyer attempted to discredit the documents, claiming they were forged or outdated. My client has invested significant resources into maintaining and improving this road, he argued. The HOA has a duty to ensure the safety and accessibility of the neighborhood. The judge held up a hand, silencing the lawyer. I've heard enough. It's clear to me that the deeds presented by Mrs. Lawson's counsel demonstrate her ownership of the easement in question. Jenny felt a surge of relief as the judge continued. Therefore, I am issuing a temporary restraining order against the HOA. You are to cease all attempts to take control of this road immediately. Mrs. Lawson, your vehicle is to be returned to you forthwith. Martha's face contorted with fury, but she remained silent as the judge adjourned the hearing. As Jenny and Mr. Samuels exited the courtroom, David hurried over to them, a grin plastered across his face. I knew you could do it, he exclaimed, clapping Jenny on the back. This is a huge win. The HOA won't be able to bully you anymore. Jenny felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. I couldn't have done it without your help, David. Thank you for standing by me. As they walked out of the courthouse, Jenny couldn't help but feel a sense of triumph. The battle had only just begun, but she was determined to protect what was rightfully hers. The victory in court was just the beginning. Jenny knew the HOA wouldn't back down easily, and she had to be prepared for their next move. As she waited for her car to be returned, she couldn't shake the feeling that Martha and the rest of the board were plotting something. The glares and whispered conversations she witnessed only fueled her suspicions. When her car was finally delivered, Jenny wasted no time getting back on the road. She was determined to reclaim her rightful place and assert her ownership over the disputed easement. As she approached the entrance to her neighborhood, she noticed a new sign had been erected. HOA visitor parking only, it read, with an arrow pointing down the road. Jenny's grip tightened on the steering wheel. "Oh, no you don't," she muttered, pressing the accelerator and driving straight past the sign. She pulled into her driveway, her eyes scanning the area for any signs of trouble. Everything seemed quiet, but Jenny knew it was only a matter of time before the HOA made their next move. A knock on her door startled her, and she hurried to answer it, half expecting to find Martha and her cronies waiting. Instead, she found David, his expression grave. "Jenny, you need to see this," he said, handing her a stack of papers. As she flipped through the documents, her heart sank. The HOA had filed a lawsuit against her, claiming she was interfering with their efforts to maintain the road and manage traffic flow. "They're trying to get a court order to force you off the road completely," David explained, his voice laced with concern. Jenny felt her knees grow weak. "But the judge already ruled in my favor. How can they do this?" "The HOA is pulling out all the stops," David said. "They're claiming you're a public nuisance and that your car is a hazard to the neighborhood." Jenny's mind raced, trying to come up with a plan. "I can't let them do this. This is my property, and I won't back down without a fight." "I know, and I'm here to help," David said, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "But you're going to need a strong legal team to counter this. The HOA is playing dirty." Jenny nodded, her jaw set with determination. "Then that's exactly what I'll do. I'm not going to let them bully me off my own land." As David left, Jenny turned her attention to the stack of legal documents, her fingers trembling. The HOA had upped the ante, and this time, the stakes were higher than ever. The days leading up to the next court hearing were a whirlwind of activity for Jenny. She had enlisted the help of a team of top-notch lawyers, determined to put an end to the HOA's relentless campaign to take control of her road. "They're playing dirty, but we got the facts on our side," one of the lawyers, a sharp-eyed woman named Sarah, assured her. "We're going to lay out a rock-solid case that will leave the judge with no choice but to rule in your favor." Jenny nodded, her nerves still raw from the previous hearing. "I know they won't stop until they get what they want. This road means everything to me, and I can't let them take it away." "That's exactly the kind of determination we need," Sarah said, her voice firm. "The HOA is betting on you giving up, but we're going to prove them wrong." As the day of the hearing arrived, Jenny took a deep breath and followed her legal team into the courtroom. Martha and the HOA board were already seated, their expressions a mix of defiance and confidence. The judge listened intently as Sarah methodically dismantled the HOA's arguments, presenting irrefutable evidence of Jenny's ownership and the association's underhanded tactics. "Your Honor," Sarah concluded, "the HOA's attempt to seize control of this road is nothing more than a blatant power grab, driven by their own greed and disregard for the rule of law." Martha's lawyer tried to interrupt, but the judge silenced him with a raised hand. "I've heard enough," the judge said, her voice stern. "Based on the evidence presented, it is clear that Mrs. Lawson is the rightful owner of this easement. I am denying the HOA's request for a court order, and I'm issuing a permanent injunction preventing the association from taking any further action to interfere with Mrs. Lawson's use of the road." A collective gasp rippled through the courtroom, and Martha's face contorted with fury. Jenny felt a wave of relief wash over her, her heart pounding with triumph. As the judge adjourned the hearing, Sarah turned to Jenny with a smile. "Told you we'd win. This road is yours, Jenny. The HOA is done trying to take it from you." Jenny felt a surge of gratitude, her eyes brimming with tears. "Thank you, all of you. I couldn't have done this without your help." Outside the courthouse, David was waiting, a beaming grin on his face. "I knew you'd do it," he exclaimed, pulling Jenny into a tight hug. Jenny squeezed him back, a weight lifting from her shoulders. The battle was finally over, and she had emerged victorious. The road was hers, and the HOA's reign of terror had come to an end. In the days following the decisive court victory, Jenny felt a newfound sense of freedom and empowerment. The HOA, once a formidable foe, had been humbled and forced to concede defeat. As she walked down the road, the gravel crunching beneath her feet, Jenny couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. This was her domain, her rightful territory, and she had fought tooth and nail to keep it. Turning the corner, she noticed Martha standing in her driveway, her arms crossed defiantly. Their eyes met, and Jenny could see the resentment burning in the HOA president's gaze. "This isn't over, Lawson," Martha spat, her voice dripping with venom. "You may have won this battle, but the war is far from over." Jenny couldn't help but chuckle. "Save your threats, Martha. The law is on my side, and I'm not going anywhere. This road belongs to me, and you and the HOA can't do a thing about it." Martha's face contorted with fury, but she remained silent, knowing her empty words carried no weight. As Jenny continued down the road, she spotted David waving from his porch. She waved back, a genuine smile spreading across her face. "Hey, neighbor," David called out. "Looks like you've got the HOA on the ropes." "You bet I do," Jenny replied, her steps full of confidence. "And I have you to thank for standing by me through all of this." David chuckled. "That's what friends are for. Besides, I couldn't let those HOA bullies push you around. This road is as much mine as it is yours." Jenny nodded, feeling a sense of camaraderie she hadn't experienced in a long time. The HOA's campaign had brought her and David closer together, forging a bond that would be difficult to break. As the sun began to set, Jenny turned her gaze toward her home, a sense of relief and accomplishment washing over her. The road was hers, the HOA had been defeated, and she could finally enjoy the peace and quiet of her own neighborhood. With a contented sigh, she stepped into her driveway, ready to embrace the next chapter of her life on this road she had fought so hard to defend.